Now, we look at whether the dollar is losing its global dominance. International Monetary Fund's data reveals that US dollar's dominance as the world's primary reserve currency is slowly eroding.
Do you really think that the end of the US dollar as a global reserve currency is anywhere near the horizon?
Well, I think it happens in my lifetime. I think it could happen in the next 20 years or earlier.
Russia and North Korea, two of the world's most sanctioned countries, are forming a team with Vietnam, joining the latest alliance. These partnerships significantly impact the global economy and the role of the US dollar. Recently, Russia stopped allowing trades of US dollars and euros on its leading financial marketplace, the Moscow Exchange MOX, in response to sanctions like Europe's gas sanctions on Russia. This marks a new chapter in the economic standoff between Russia and the West and is part of Russia's strategy to rely less on Western currencies. Imagine a poker table with over 100 players in a high-stakes game. The deck, how it's shuffled, and how the cards are dealt represent the current world order. Countries often trade with each other to get what they need, such as weapons, oil, currencies, and other commodities, using the world's reserve currency, which is currently the US dollar. The dollar's stability makes it account for over 88% of all global transactions, with no other currency coming close. This system, often called the petrodollar system, has allowed the United States to prosper for over 50 years. Money from around the world has been parked in U.S. assets like treasuries, stocks, real estate, and more, making the U.S. and its citizens among the wealthiest globally. Now let's examine the world's wealth. The estimated global GDP last year was about $105 trillion, mostly controlled by two main teams that together hold roughly 75% of this wealth. The first team, the varsity team, is the G7, comprising Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States, the 7 biggest and most advanced economies. If the G7 represents the 7 most powerful players, the BRICS countries are their main rivals. The BRICS include Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and potentially 59 other countries showing interest in joining, with countries like Iran, the UAE, Ethiopia, and Egypt joining recently. Now let's see who controls what in terms of the global economy and wealth. The BRICS control over $30 trillion of the $15 trillion global economy, while the G7 controls over $46 trillion. Together, these two teams control about 3/4 of the global economy. The remaining 25% is controlled by other countries, not yet aligned with any team, but being recruited. The world has been forming teams for a while, with a significant example being the 2008 global financial crisis.
We're a few days away from the ATMs not working.
Suddenly, folks are getting wiped out.
I asked, are we headed for a Great Depression? And Bernanke said, looks that way.
At the time, the G7 team, comprising the most advanced economies in the world, convened to devise a global rescue plan to prevent economic collapse. One such program was TARP, the Troubled Asset Relief Program, aimed at stabilizing the U.S. financial system, restoring economic growth, and mitigating foreclosures after the 2008 financial crisis. However, some countries felt that the crisis was partly caused by the greed of one country's banking system. They believed that allowing this system to fail would have harmed the entire global economy, so a bailout was necessary, though some felt it was at their expense. In this global economic game, a powerful team can impose sanctions on another country, restricting their ability to participate fully. For example, just 2 weeks ago, billions of dollars of Russia's frozen assets were allocated for relief in Ukraine. In 2010, the G7 imposed an oil embargo, financial sanctions, and trade restrictions on Iran due to its nuclear program. Sanctions were also imposed on North Korea in 2006 to curb its nuclear ambitions, on Syria in 2011 in response to the Syrian civil war and human rights issues, and on Venezuela in 2017 due to its political and economic crisis. Whether these sanctions are right or wrong depends on your perspective and values, but the key point is that this use of power has led to the formation of teams seeking to create a fairer system for themselves. This dynamic shapes the current world order. Those are the players and that is the game. The question is, what are they all playing for? What's the grand prize? The answer is money. When I say money, I don't mean the kind of money you and I think of. Countries can just print more of that. Instead, I mean control over what money actually represents. For a country, money is its currency, and a currency is an idea. Controlling or weakening a country's currency can have significant consequences. A weaker currency can lead to higher interest rates, making it more expensive for that country to borrow money from other central banks. This, in turn, can result in higher borrowing costs for consumers and impact inflation. When a country's currency is affected, it changes people's perception and confidence in that currency, and by extension, in the country itself. This can influence politics, elections, and even cause social unrest. The real prize countries are playing for is control over money as an idea. That's why in 2024 you might hear the phrase a lot is
de-dollarization.
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 Dollarization might sound like a conspiracy theory, but it doesn't signify the end of the US dollar. Instead, it means the world is becoming less reliant on using only dollars for global trade. This shift isn't just a theory, it's happening and accelerating. Now, if you like this video, check out this next video right here.